just being in a space and allowing people to be a rock for me. Like, I don't always have to be the rock, and just because I'm not the rock at that time doesn't mean that I'm like weak. I remember kissing my mom on her forehead and telling her, "You are free now." I was angry that, as soon as she died, he was trying to see was he on the insurance policies. I was there, and I'm just so grateful for not only her and the woman that she was, but the woman I am becoming because of her. Welcome back to another episode of Here We Grow, where we are growing for real and not for show. I'm your host, Chancellor Burge, again, and this is my beautiful co-host, my mommy. Say hello to her. Thank you. All right. Today, guys, we are talking about grief. Grief is such a unique emotion, and it's so fleeting yet omnipresent. And I wanted to talk about this specifically because on this day 2 years ago is when my mom passed away, and it was a very sudden situation. So when it happened, lives were changed, revelations were more prominent, and I started to realize the extent and the just presence of grief altogether. Before my mom passed away, my great grandmother passed away, and so she was like the rock of the family. I was a bit younger, so I was like close to my grandmother, but not as close with her enough to like when she passed away that yes, I was sad about it and it was a sad situation, but it didn't I wasn't really in a state of grief about it. Like there wasn't like a lot of processing. There wasn't a lot of like, moments where I would find myself just crying randomly out the blue or anything of that nature. So I didn't really fully understand the extent that grief plays in life in general. But when my mom passed away, I was like, okay, this is crazy. And when people pass away in your family, especially when you at the funeral at the church, people always try to compartmentalize grief as if it's this, either you're going to be like you're going to be crying, you're going to be upset, or you're going to be like you're going to accept it, you're going to have your days. And so let's just take a step back before I get into talking about my experience with grief and understanding the 5 stages of grief. This was created by Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross to describe how terminally ill patients cope with death and dying, but the model is no longer supported by science as a valid predictor of grief. Okay, so I just wanted to throw that out there to make sure this is something that most of us are familiar with and we know about. So I just wanted to bring it up in that way, but it is not considered a valid indicator of grief. So, but there are 5 stages according to Dr. Kubler-Ross, which is the denial stage, anger, the bargaining stage, the depression stage, and then the acceptance stage. So, some people say that there is like you experience, maybe that is the order of the experience of the stages of grief, but I don't know. For me, it was different. Let me break down the 5 different stages. Okay, so denial, which is feeling shocked or numb and denying the reality of the loss. Anger, which looks like feeling furious and resentful, blaming yourself or others. Bargaining, trying to regain control by dwelling on what you could have done to prevent the loss. Depression, feeling numb, deeply sad, and emotionally withdrawn. Acceptance, acknowledging the reality of the situation and understanding that life must continue. On the night my mom passed, it was a Friday night. I had just started working at TJ Maxx as a side job. And this particular day, I did not really feel like there was anything different happening. Okay, let's get that clear. My mom and I had a very strong relationship. She had a very strong relationship with both of her children, me and my sister. And so talking on the phone and like conversing every day was just normal, okay, for us. So that day we probably talked about 4 or 5 times. And it was just like she was calling me about different things and just like revelations. She was actually going through a divorce at this time, or getting ready to go through a divorce, or just, it was the early stages. So like breaking up, moving out of those things. And so my mom is such a lover, and she's an extreme overthinker, and sometimes she immerses herself in with situations that has nothing to do with her, or maybe it's out of her control. She kind of like obsesses over the ways that, what role she played, how she could have moved differently, or like just trying to fix certain things that didn't need to be fixed. And that was her marriage at that point. So she was struggling a lot. She was going through a lot emotionally, mentally. It was really holding her down. But when we were talking that particular day, that week in itself, she started to kind of shift into more of the acceptance stage, and just realizing, I can still choose to be happy, even though, you're still working through the loss of a relationship. So we talked, and she was really in good spirits. Like that was the first time in like a long little minute that like I could like actually energetically feel her lightening her mood, right? So she went out that night with family members, and yeah, I got a call that, basically she had passed out, and she wasn't necessarily dead at that moment, but they couldn't really get a heartbeat. So I'm assuming that she died on the way to the hospital. And it was it was a hard call to take. And I got a call from somebody, a bystander that was there, and he just knew that, we were her children. He knew how close we were. And so I'm thankful that he had the courage to even call and share that with me, knowing how, how that ended up, what ended up happening. Um, and so I was in Nashville at the time, and so I had to go to Mississippi. So when I initially got the call, you know, you just know when you know, right? Like women, our intuition is very on point, especially when you're aware of it. So when I got the call, and they were he was confused on actually like whether she was dead or not, or like whether she was going to live. Like that was kind of up in the air, because our cousin, or her sister, was trying to resuscitate her. And so apparently she did. Um, but when he was explaining to me what was going on, and there was just this weird energy of just like, I didn't really know what to expect. Like it was just like everything was up in the air. It was in the middle. But I knew deep down that she was making an exit. And it was very devastating, to be honest. Y'all, look, I have been very emotional trying to hold back my tears all day. But it was devastating. I knew that she was not going to make it. I just knew. So when I received the call from my little sister that she had actually passed away, my response was very loud, and I'm gonna be honest, dramatic, because we're just drama queens on the earth. Okay, humans, we just love to be dramatic. But not saying that my response wasn't valid. It's just I already knew what was going on, and there was nothing that I could have done. But um it's like I was crying, and I was having the reaction that, they tell us that we should have when something like this happens. But all I could feel was a sense of like love, a sense of freedom for her, because I knew that my mom was experiencing so much in that, in her last relationship and just in life in general. So I immediately um, went into the acceptance stage immediately. Like I said, I already knew. And so as I was driving, I remember my friend Ivy. Hey girl, if you see this, um, we were just talking like normal. My sister called me and she showed me, because like I was trying to get there before they moved her body out of the room where everybody could see her, before they did the autopsy and all the things. So like my sister showed me her, and like even seeing her, just seeing her body and just seeing how peaceful she looked like she was sleeping, and that made me, even though she had like, when she fell, she hit her head, and so she had like bruising on her face, like, but aside from that, like she looks very peaceful. And that made me feel a lot better when I saw her. And so when I actually did make it, they were able to hold her longer for me to make it. And everybody was there. Not like everybody, but it's weird how people come together when people die, and they don't even come together for people when they're alive. But I digress. Walking up to the room, the energy was just so heavy because there was just a lot of people there that should not have been there to begin with. Let's get that clear. Um, I'm sorry. We're gonna get into the anger stage, okay? You can see that, right? Okay. Um, yeah. So it was just like that. So I walked in there. My sister was there. My sister's so strong, like so like to for her to be so stable and so grounded in that moment, waiting for me to get there so that we can have those last moments. And to see her, like, she cried, and you could tell she had been crying, but she was just so grounded. Like I feel like she was also in the acceptance stage really quick. um you know and so yeah, I remember kissing my mom on her forehead and telling her, "You are free now." And it sent chills down my body when I said it to her, because that's literally the first thing I thought when I saw her. Like, you don't have to worry about not feeling loved anymore. You don't have to worry about what these people think about you. You don't have to worry about any of the things that bothered you, that just made you feel less than, or just made you just confused about. Like, you're free. You are free from this energy, and I was just so happy for her and just so grateful to like experience such a beautiful person, and to see someone so willing to help, and be so loving regardless of what happened or how people treated her, and like just always choosing to be in a higher state, even if it was a lot on her. So I'm just grateful. That's the first thing I thought. Like, I'm so having a mother and having a parent that connects with you and bonds with you and know who you are, and you know who they are, even in their lower nature, in their lower states. Like, it's a beautiful thing. Like, you can't take it back. And so that's why I know that I accepted it very quickly, because I wouldn't have changed anything. There's nothing. I couldn't feel the bargaining stage, what I could have done. Like, of course that happens, because naturally, our minds are trying to conceptualize what, that type of thing. And dying is such a physical death is just like confusing for the mind, because 1 minute they're there, 1 minute they're not, and you have to like still go on. But then after that, the anger started to settle. Okay. I was very angry. I was very angry because at the time, her husband was he was just not a good person for her. And when she realized this, she was already deep down. She was already in it too deep. I was angry that there were people that mistreated her, and I didn't feel that they deserved to be in her space. I didn't feel that they deserved to be near her body when she passed away. I didn't feel that they should have been around at any point after her death, because while she was alive, they did not support her. They did not show her true love. They did not respect her. They did not see her. And so, that I'm just being honest about what I was angry about. I was angry because during this whole process, her husband never did anything for her after she passed. He's a barber, so you would think that he would have like tried to put her wig on, or do her touch up her eyebrows. Like, it's just like, I was angry that even in her time of death, that people still didn't respect her, but people cosplayed their love for her. I was angry that people would show up as if they were so hurt about her departure when they did not show that love there. And so I had to get over this because, someone told me that just because people did her wrong or whatever the case may be, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have that space to feel that grief and that sadness. And they're right. I can admit that they were right. I was angry that people did not value her when she was alive. I was angry that she didn't really get to be valued other than by her kids, which, some people say that's enough, but it's not enough. It's just not. It's not. When you are always valuing other people, when you're always showing love and being open. So I get it, she was just where she was in her life. She needed other things. And now, even to this day, I still see that lack from family members, from my grandmother, from my uncle, just how things that we talked about, And this is what I was angry about as well. People, when you are expressing anger, or you're expressing some type of boundary, disapproval, discomfort about certain things or people, especially after someone passes away, people always tend to point the finger and make you feel bad because you're expressing that anger. Like, even though I like have the space to be angry, right? Like, okay, yeah, we get this. You're angry. Your mom passed, right? But people just don't realize that they're just full of shit. And now they do know that they're full of shit. But they try to convince you that they're not full of shit. Or they try to make you understand. They try to, I'm going to go to her grave and put her some flowers out. But you never gave her flowers when she was alive. That is for you. I was angry that they used her death to sort of almost repay her for their lack of attention, their lack of love, their shortcomings in their relationship with her. I was angry that my family was not very supportive of what I needed at that moment, as far as space from her husband, as far as I was angry that, as soon as she died, he was trying to see, was he on the insurance policies. I was angry that while I'm trying to figure out the funeral arrangements, that he's going behind around trying to do what he wants to do. And it's like, you just weren't even with her. I'm angry that people just put people on pedestals and idolize things that really don't fucking matter. That's just the truth. It doesn't. Like, Instead of people being real and honest with themselves, they will sit there and bullshit you every day, all day, to convince you that they're good people when they're not. They will try to, even in my mom's physical departure, her husband still talked about her in ways of like, y'all don't know her like I knew her. I was angry that, when he found out that he was not on any of the insurance policies, that as soon as they got the death certificate, he went to her checking account, he took everything out and then said that and then lied about what was actually in it. He tried to downplay like it wasn't as much as it was in it. I was angry that there were people who were telling me, well, he was her husband, so he should get something. I was angry um that people are just fucking stupid. I was angry that she didn't get more. She deserves so much more. But I know that in her, where she is now, she is okay. She's fine. She's experiencing love. And so the grief for me has just been so like, I have to be spiritually responsible, and I have to further take on and get through those lessons as well. And so while my mom was very adamant about being, intertwined with the family, I do not. Because just because you were born into a family doesn't mean that they are your family, that it doesn't mean that they value you, that they respect you. And so I'm learning that I don't have to feel obligated to do certain things because people are my family when they don't show me that they value me in that way. And it's okay, to be that way. And it's okay to understand that people are not operating at their highest frequency. And so after I went through the anger stage for a while, I went through it was a lot of things happening. So after, I would say, like, I started exiting the angry phase probably like towards the end of 2023, maybe 2024. And I started to kind of like, I don't even know the word to use, but I would say I was in a reflection phase. And I was like, okay, how do I continue to elevate my timeline? Because she's my ancestor, I am the ancestor. Now my sister is the ancestor of our timeline. So how do I elevate this? How do I get past certain things that she wasn't able to get past, in her lifetime? And so I've been in a reflection stage since then. I'm understanding, well, not understanding, I know that, like, people are only doing the best that they can. But that doesn't mean I have to always have them in my life. I can always still have boundaries and just still uphold who I am, be selfish with my needs, and know that, like, it's okay to love and to be loved, and it's okay to know that you might not always get that back. And that's something that I'm learning through my grief now, that the many walls that I have put up from not only watching her, but also from my own experiences. Also knowing that, like, we're experiencing grief all the time. That is something that I realized, like, shortly after she passed away. We don't even realize that every day we're waking up, every new day, every new moment is a moment of death and rebirth, literally. When we throw away clothes, we get new cars, we have new partners, we may have a child, those, you're losing something. You are always transitioning. We're always evolving and changing. So to know that there are instances where I have been encouraged to change from energetically, from my spiritual team, from my mom, even in the spiritual realm, making me more aware of certain things. I'm just like, there's no point that anything is actually stagnant. We're always changing. We can always choose to go with the growth and the flow, or we can choose to stay. But the change is still going to happen, and it happens slowly. You know, it's very deliberate. It's very sneaky, because you might not think you're changing, but then you look up and you're like, wow, nothing is the same. So I wrote a letter to myself. If you saw it in my previous videos when I was like doing more vlogging, I wrote a letter to myself about grief. And I just realized that, I looked at grief as a lover. When you're in a relationship with somebody and you choose to be with them and you choose them, you're choosing everything that comes with them. You're choosing when they change. You're choosing when at them at their highest. You're choosing them at their lowest. And so that was a way for me to develop um, a healthier, higher perception of grief, but also to develop a healthy relationship with it. Because I started to try to drink my problems away. And because I was holding so much in, you know, and I was not being truthful about how angry I actually was. I was not being honest that I didn't want um to co-create with certain people in my life anymore because of that situation, because the veil was lifted, right? I realized that not only had I been spreading myself out thin, but I also have not been around genuine people that actually likes me for me. Not many, right? It was a hard realization. From friendships, I let friendships go. From relationships, from even things with myself, mindsets, family members. Like, I want the best of the best. And see, this is what I was saying, like, my mother is still teaching me these things, even in her physical departure, even though we don't get to talk the same, but we still see each other. I know that she's here. She's living through me. I hear her voice when I speak sometimes. I feel her energy. She's always protecting me and my sister. And I know she loves me and she's proud of me and she's happy for what I'm doing. She's happy that I'm being authentic. And so I'm so grateful for that. So she taught me that the importance of truly bonding with people that you love and that you care about, to truly know that you're worthy of those type of connections and that you don't have to prove that you are worthy of it. And it has been difficult. It's been difficult. So if you have experienced a loss from someone that you loved or someone you had a deep connection with, just know that they're not really gone. Talk to them. I talk to my mom every day. I tell her hello and that I love her. And I know that she's here and to keep guiding me along with my spiritual team, along with Source in the universe. Because I know that she's on my side and she wants the best for me. Their energy never dies, it transforms. Start celebrating life more. That's another thing I learned in her departure. We're so quick to come together for funerals, but never for birthdays, never for just becauses. We're more resentful and more willing to resolve a conflict when someone's passed away. Let's just do it now. Time, even though time is an illusion, time is there as a reminder of memory, of times of who we were, to confirm that we are real and we are having this human experience. Do it now. You know, grief shows me you need to do it now because it might not be here tomorrow. There's, potential that you might lose it all tomorrow. So do it now. Do it now. Love now. Grow now. Whatever you want to do, just do it now. And so I'm just very grateful to be in a space of growth and expansion, and allowing myself to not feel so down in the dumps. And I think that's something that I'm learning through grief as well. It's like, it's okay to feel pain. Like, I was crying on the phone, my man, and he is really like helping me understand, like, him and my sister. Like, my sister is the same way, but we're very similar. So we're just naturally like strong individuals, and we don't really we're very guarded, right? Because we have seen things, we've experienced things. So like, the when we do experience certain emotions, like, I don't want to say she's experienced depression, I have, but I dealt with it alone. And while I know I can call my sister and like cry and stuff, and he's like, no, you are have that safe space because you are heard here. You're valued. And so I, reflecting on my mom's departure, I realized that she was that person for me, like we were for her. And it's hard. It's really difficult actually having that. People will listen to you, but people don't actually listen to bond and to really understand and actively like get to know who you are. They just listen to respond. Sometimes they're not even listening to you. They're just talking to themselves. So just being in a space and allowing people to be a rock for me. Like, I don't always have to be the rock. And just because I'm not the rock at that time doesn't mean that I'm like weak. Like, that shouldn't even be in my vocabulary, right? But it is difficult, expressing that, because it's like I'm not really sad about her being gone physically. Like, of course I miss her. Of course I would love to hear her voice. Of course I would love to talk to her and touch her and all the things. Like, of course, but I understand that this has nothing to do with me, and that she chose to leave when she was ready to leave. So I'm supportive of that, and I'm grateful that she feels safe now and she feels all the things. But I don't really have those relationships with other people. I don't have that relationship with my father. Like, I know that people in my family love me, but this type of love that I shared with my mother was so special, and it was so intentional, and it was so raw, and it was so authentic that I just need to remain in that energy. And so when I was very emotional earlier, it's like I'm trying to remember that I have experienced that before. Choosing to what I actually have, to view my life as like, okay, being in that perception of like, I have this, and not focusing so much on what I don't have. And so I felt myself kind of like teeter tottering on both ends, because it's like, oh my gosh, like, I want that support. So it's just confirmation that yes, I know how to be alone. Yes, I know how to have emotional intelligence. I know how to not trauma dump. I know how to experience and sit in my emotions. But that doesn't mean that I don't have to open up and share with someone who has the capacity and who wants to be there. And it's okay, and just giving myself that grace. That's what grief is teaching me as well. Be graceful with yourself and with others, because everything is changing all the time, and we're always in a state of loss. But that doesn't mean we have to look at it as a state of loss, but a state of transition, like I stated earlier. So, grief is tricky, but it's not here to have us depressed or have us stuck in cycles. It's here to have us to be appreciative and grateful for the moment, for the now, to love people with your whole heart the first time, to be fearless, to be of joy, to choose higher, at every moment, regardless, because nothing really is yours to begin with. And that's the main thing, like, that I really know, like, nothing is really ours to begin with. And we sit here thinking that we have possession over things. This is my mother, my father, my sister, my house, my apartment, my this, my car, and it's never ours. It can always be taken from us. We're on borrowed time, borrowed experiences, but that doesn't mean that they're not of love. That doesn't mean that my life has to stop. It means that I know what love feels like. I know what happiness and joy, connection and bonding looks like. And I am learning to pass that information on to my sister, to, my potential children if I have kids, to just strangers on the street. To be a love, to completely surrender to the now, because that's all that we truly have. You are not alone. If you've experienced a parent dying or a significant other, whatever, whoever that impacted your life greatly, and if you feel heavy, if you feel like you don't know how you can get through, if you feel like confused and down, you are not alone. And there is no new experience under the sun. We're all figuring it out, but choose to be happy. They're still there with you, and they love you, and they want you to love you. And it's okay to miss them. There are other ways to honor people. There are other ways to respect people and love people. So when you are in a space where you can show love and you can be authentic and you can be at your highest self, do it. Do it. Just because. Okay? Because we're okay with grief. We understand grief. And we love grief because grief is only highlighting what's important, which is right in front of us. Everything that's right in front of us is the most important. And so my mommy, she knows that I love her. I love her down. I love her down. Like, I be like, girl, come see me in my dreams. She be popping up like, thank you. Because we're connected. And she's still teaching me so many things to the, and I'm just so grateful for not only her and the woman that she was, but the woman I am becoming because of her. So thank you, mommy. I miss you so much. Y'all, I promise to continue to do my best for myself and for my sister. And I promise to continue to elevate my timeline. Thank you for everything that you have done. Thank you for being beautiful, for your energy to be so lively, for you to still try and be the best person, even when you are not in situations or around people that actually value that, just because unconditionally. I see you, I hear you, I value you, and I love you forever and always. Okay, guys, thank you so much for sharing space here with me. And here we grow. We are growing and evolving one day at a time, one step at a time, and one moment at a time. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.